Before even starting, the chapter's numbers implies that we will have more chapters that will immediately follow the event of that one, just like the chapters concerning Lord's flashback. Now, onto the heart of the matter. Anya is yet again nagging Desmond about the cake that he never directly promised her. What he said in chapter 61 was, "I know, I'll just pay you back, piece of cake." And since then, that promised cake was mentioned multiple times up until that chapter, which is a funny running gag that was born from a miscommunication. In a monologue, Damien doesn't seem to mind the promise as long as it doesn't have to do with the meeting his parents or anything of the sort. Since Anya is a telepath, she remembers about Plan B and quickly switches from the cake to ask Damien if she can come into his house with her family, which is a very pragmatic but very ill-intentioned request from her. It doesn't matter if it's for the greater good or whatnot. She's trying to use Damien here, something that he unfortunately is used to at this point. Immediately after, she declares that Yor became buddy-buddy with his mom, and that fact seems to make Damien agitated because he was thinking that his mother would always talk about him or exchange embarrassing facts about him, you know, like most normal mothers do. However, Anya breaks that little hope that he had about his mother, and that gives him a face of complete indifference. The same that you would give when you expect something to act differently, but it ends up giving the same exact result. This passage is another proof that the hands-off policy of the Desmond family severely affects the behavior of the parent and their children. For Melinda, she made in the last chapter a really bizarre face, probably because she couldn't see Damien grow or interact with him all that much, which would cause some kind of distress since a connection between a mother and their child is normally really strong because of the birthing process. As an example, think of a cow being separated from her calf. After that she gave birth, just so she can keep being exploited for milk. The longer you take to separate them, and the more distress a cow will show. That's why they are separated in their first day commonly. In a similar logic, maybe Melinda and Damien were close at first, but the separation made them both very distressed. In this chapter, Damien showed a lot of agitation regarding her mother. Same goes for her mother in chapter 66. The latter really tries to hide it though. In my opinion, she is against that hands-off policy, and it wouldn't surprise me if she was controlling Donovan behind the scenes for that sole reason. Let's get back on track on the chapter. Damien brushes that indifference and calls out the fakeness of Anya. A very cool detail is that it's the first time that he genuinely thinks that Anya only cares about him for his name. They normally keep arguing with each other. She keeps messing up, punching or embarrassing Damien, to the point that he never considered the fact that Anya was using him. The fact that he said that Anya's family is the same as the others after more than 65 chapters is a proof that he regarded them as different in a refreshing way. It is equally a way to convey that he is fond of her, or was. Anya ironically keeps muddying Plan B. We take Lord's point of view at the hospital from now on. There seems to be a lot of effort from Wise to keep his cover reinforced by having everyone applaud him for his job. At the same time, we get to see Fiona being in love with Lloyd after a very long break without seeing her. She's spying on Lloyd as usual, but she notices something wrong. A doctor is getting extremely jealous. I thought for a second that everyone in this hospital was an agent helping for the cover, but it seems that some of the praise is not part of an act, especially for children or Lloyd's co-workers. Lloyd discusses with Fiona about patients that are in any way connected to Melinda, bringing Yor into the table. Nightfall jealously proposes to take Yor's role once more, even after that embarrassing tennis match, believing that she would be able to extract more intel. She confirms that some patients are indeed connected to Melinda, but the director, the one who was shown to be jealous, will not assign him more patients out of simple spite. His name is Gerald Gorey and is the chief medical director of the hospital. Sometimes, obstacles in our life are not really our fault. Sometimes it's just one person who hates you for no particular reasons. It's a really fun trait that is cool to see here, especially from a highly regarded job such as a doctor. Lloyd's need to strengthen his relationship with him if he wants Plan C to go forward. So the next pages are just him going through fixed scenarios in order to appease the director's wrath. Nota bene, Gerald Gorey, the director, has a soft spot for Fiona. I will now proceed to go over every antics quickly. Lords arrives late at one of his meetings. He knew about it. Gerald gets happy. Lord's co-workers suggest him to get some rest. Gerald gets mad because of his experience when he made the same exact mistake. He was called a lazy cat behind his back. Then Joel lends some coffee and juice with laxatives to Lloyd, who already prepared an antidote. He excuses himself to the toilet. A kid gets motivated by that somehow, I don't know why, which in return makes the doctor unhappy. Slightly after, Mr. Forger has some toilet paper stuck under his shoe. That gives a good laugh to one of his co-workers and make him seems adorable to a nurse. Dr. Joel is seen molding in the background like the crowd that he is. If you think about it, it's really unrealistic that he gets jealous easily, given that he achieves the director position by careful networking. Plus, he values reputation and status highly, which would practically mean that he's losing at his own game if somehow he's less popular than Lloyd. Being like that is not really something uncommon in doctors. His penultimate shenanigan is him writing a fake letter to Fiona about a date on behalf of Lloyd. She almost believed it, but finally crumbled a piece of paper and gets back to him proposing to take care of the head doctor. Knowing Fiona, she will most certainly do a good job at it. So I really hope that in the incoming chapters we will see her doing something drastic. Remember that in a duo chapter with Frankie, she called some SSS agents on herself so she could get the favor of a papers forger to later beat those agents up. Anyway, here comes the last shenanigan. Dr. Joel Gorey called the SSS under the notice that Lloyd is a spy. Those past chapters, we can really see that Tatsuya Endo is adding more dramatic tension in the series. One chapter ago was Melinda and her political influence, then Garden also being a part of this by having its boss being suspicious of Lloyd, finally followed by the State Security Service. In short, almost all of the known organizations is involved in Lloyd's case, directly or indirectly. Since the SSS is being involved, it will shock no one when I say that Yuri will become relevant again. After all, his overprotectiveness of Yor made him want to try to find something to pin on Lloyd, such as spying. It is such an easy and good setup that I will be surprised to not see him appear in 2 weeks. Some people believe that the directors calling the SSS will be used as a way for Lloyd to become less suspicious. Indeed, by making them come here at the hospital, if Lloyd does such a good job at making himself look innocent, which he is a professional of doing, he could now accuse Gerald of spying for acting suspiciously against him using everything that he has said or done up until that point. And with all of the people who love Dr. Forger, he would also have a lot of witnesses and support. With that in his pocket, he could utilize that as a blackmail device to get Gerald to cooperate with him by having him almost arrested, but protected at last by him. However, I think that if Yuri is the one doing the investigation, Every little thing brought up by the director will confirm some of his preconceived notions about his sister's husband and will make him more likely to be against him. Even by acting perfectly, Lloyd got through Yuri thanks to the help of Yor. With only him, I am afraid that he will be arrested or put on a to-watch list by the SSH, which would in turn add more tension in the manga. After that ending, Yuri will probably spy on Lord more, be more present in the recent chapters, and will try to chip Lord's relationship with Yor, which is going increasingly well. I'm not even done. Having Yuri protecting Yor so much will make her suspicious of Lloyd. Or maybe not. But at the very least, she will tell her boss about the situations once more, and that will lead Garden to take action on Lloyd's behavior. If they see that he also got SSS on his ass, Lloyd would be a gunner. Wise will need to act as well, and we will see a very thrilling scenario come into life. As you can see, I already have a scenario prepared in my head, but if it doesn't come through, it's not a big deal. I know that Tatsuya Endo will deliver. Anyway, like always, like and subscribe. Please. I'm stuck at this subscribers count. I need more subscribers, please. Anyway, see you in 2 weeks for more reviews.